Okay, I got a real treat for you guys in this video. We're going to be discussing a very interesting and hard to understand feature, and that is why are there a ring of cenotes on the Yucatan Peninsula, kind of on the edge of the epicenter of the Chicxulub impact crater, right? It's not completely correlated, but there is a correlation with that ring here, right? Obviously, there's a ton here with almost no organization, some in the middle with no organization, a nice line it looks like right here. So we're going to figure this out. Now, I'm going to let you know off the bat, it has nothing to do with the Chicxulub impact crater. It's an erosional feature. Now, when we look at this curved coastline edge, where the cenotes tend to be found around, that is actually something that we can find around the world. So let me explain this to you. So this is the ring of cenotes. You can see they're just, shallow little scours in the land. Some are deeper, some are like cave channels, but most of the ones that are in this ring are just little indentations in the land, like this, right? And they're not sinkholes either. Okay, so let's go. We can follow this line here, right? We see it crosses the road, and we're still following this line. It keeps going, kind of fades out. But in general, we get that line here, and this is that, it's very hard to see, but there's that curved coastline that comes through here. Okay, so let's go to Argentina to better understand it. So this is an incredible location. Let me just zoom out so you guys can find this spot. Okay, so first thing we notice is a really nice marine terrace here made by the ocean current. And then the second thing we notice is all of these accretion ridges. These are very, very perfectly shaped accretion ridges. This is something a river makes, which means it's something a current makes. So this was made by an ocean current that swept along through here. Now, it is possible that waves pushing straight onshore can make a berm, but I don't think this is a berm from ocean waves. Rather, it's from an ocean current that wrapped around this coastline. Now, to explain that to you, I'm going to explain these scours here, which are very similar to the shallow cenotes that make up the ring of cenotes on the Chicxulub. So check this out. So we can look at these scours here, and we can see how they're in between a really nice big accretion ridge here. And we can see how there's almost like tail type features where we can see this is the head and then the tail. And it almost gives us a direction going this way. Right, so this one you can see, this would be the tail. It's more pointed, rounded front, tail. Hard to see, but nonetheless, it is directional. Okay, so these scours are showing water current wrapping around. That gives us insight onto the accretion ridges being from a current. Also gives us information that the marine terrace was formed like a river terrace. Okay, a lot of information there. We find some more scours around this part. So that's indicating a rapid ocean current. And the scours are made from the focusing and the undulating force of the current. So if you ever watch a river in shallow water, you see undulations. That makes corrugated forms, and the troughs are thus the scabs, or the scours. Okay? That's the basics. And then we go over here and it gets messy, right? It's complicated. But here's a nice trail, right? Really nice trail. Kind of reminds me of the trail that we find, which one was it? Like right here. If that's like a little trail of cenotes, kind of looks like this little tight trail. and it's correlated with the coastline. So like I said, it's an erosional feature and it's correlated with the coastline. And it's also very easy to find this on curving coastlines. And just like the Yucatan has that nice curving coastline, as shown in this one. It's kind of a bad photo, but you can see the curve to the coastline. And that's very shallow. On topographical maps, you can barely see this, but this is a coastline. Okay, so we got the Yucatan. Zoom in, find our ring of cenotes. Very shallow cenotes, by the way. And they do form in paths. Let's go over here. I think there's some paths over here. Right, you can kind of see they're lined up. Right, this would be a line of them. Here we can see another line of them. But this is kind of in the area where the cenotes get all scattered. So they get, it gets more confusing. But then we go to the coastline here, and now we see evidence of a strong ocean current, right? We also see our accretion ridges indicating strong ocean current. But look at the way it wraps around. Look at how they're streamlined. Okay, this is how the cenotes were formed. Same thing as what we saw in Argentina. We go over here. Oh, look at this. Right on the coastline. What are those, cenotes? Dang. All right, we're figuring it out now. And then look at this spot here. They're now forming paths along. This is an accretion ridge. You can hardly see it, but, and then the path right there. And then here it gets scattered. Now they're all over the place, right? This is a spot where they're just like all over. But this is from turbulence. And oh, this is the spot here. Check this out. Perfect trail. Okay, so cenotes aren't just deep caves. They're also very shallow scours, both of which made from water. Okay, let's check out. Now this is on the other side of South America. This is on Chile. This coastline here also curving, right? We can go here, we can see the accretion ridges. Then we go over here and we don't just see accretion ridges, but we see parallel ruts, right? This water current that washed through here and made these accretion ridges was so powerful, it carved out these ruts. And these are tributaries to these streams here. But they're not made from rainfall, of course, they're made from an ocean current washing around. And then what is this? You guys seeing it now? Shallow scours, okay? In line with the rut. Okay, this is exactly what the cenotes are. Here's another example. Okay, these are very shallow. They could be filled with salt, not sure. There's also a place in Africa that has something like this, but I'm not going to show that in this video. Now let's go to the Dead Sea. Check this out. This is supposedly a ring of sinkholes, just like, you know, the Chicxulub cenotes are considered sinkholes too. Obviously, I disagree with that. But so check this out. So over here we find, you know, river terraces, right? This whole, right, this is actually a tectonic boundary, but water rushed through here, right? This would be a plunge pool with a shallow cataract formation. Then you've got the trail of the river trough, and it is following a tectonic boundary, so that was already kind of made. But nonetheless, water definitely rushed through here, carved out the Dead Sea here. And then because the current was, very rapid, it was able to make nice terraces, nice accretion ridges, and of course, because of its turbulence, it made a ring and a line of what looks like sinkholes, and they are sinkholes because they were covered in sand and then that collapsed. But these were originally eroded out features before they were then covered and then collapsed. And that's why they form these lines. So this is the best spot right here to really see the trail. Right here is the best trail right here. And there's two trails right next to each other. Right, so definitely a catastrophic current wash through. Now let's look up river terrace, 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 river terrace. Wow, so it was catastrophic. I mean, how high up is this? It's actually below sea level, but it's obviously a lot higher than this. So like almost, I'd guess probably 200, 300 feet. So yeah, just count the terraces. This is something you'd find if you went to the Oregon Scablands or the Washington Scablands or the Montana Scablands. You're going to find, clear river tanks or terraces. Also, Wyoming has a ton of these. And they tell us something. They're clearly shorelines. They're clearly river banks. Okay. So yeah, there's that. Now, your minds haven't been blown yet because I haven't shown you England of all places. You wouldn't guess England, right? But boy, you're in for a real treat here. Okay, check this out. All of these pins here are the features we've been talking about. Let me start with one of my favorites. This guy here. Look at this. Okay, now these obviously highly correlated with terraces, right? So we can see these terraces here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Every single one of these, a current washed across, current washed across, a current washed across. And that's showing a decreasing pattern. Right over here, same thing. Decreasing, decreasing. Now, how catastrophic was this current? Well, it was turbulent enough to dig out all of these scours, all of these holes here. All right, let's look at this here. Clear one there. But let's go back to the pins and see how there's clearly lines of these. These are organized. You don't get organized. And each of the terraces, 1, 2, both of these have them. Okay. Let's check out this guy. All right. That one's decent. This one here. This is almost at the bottom, but you see the trails. And they kind of wrapped around this whole island here. Now up here is some good ones. Now this is one of the best terraces in all of England. Look at this. Looks like Google Earth updated it since I've last seen it. It wasn't quite this color. But yeah, a lot of terraces. Count them all, right? And then we get the scours running across them. Here's a nice, top terrace. But then you can really see some nice trails of cenotes. Of course, they're not cenotes because they're not on the Yucatan, or they're in limestone rather. But nonetheless, they're formed the exact same way. Current ran across here. And this is kind of a vast area where we see a lot of turbulence in these areas. Was this a trail of them? See that trail? When you find clear trails, that's how you really know. Yeah, I think it was better before they updated. It was a little more clear. I think it was kind of more lightly colored. But here's another trail. Goes all the way across. Then you go down the next terrace, all the way across, down the next terrace, down here, and then it kind of, I mean, it's just so high in elevation from the main elevation of the continent. So here kind of wraps around. Got one up here. This is a good one too. Comes right through here. And you've got another one right through there. So I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on this, what you guys think these are. And then here we've got, kind of a sudden ravine, almost a cataract. If it was a little more rounded, that'd be a cataract. If it had a plunge pool, we'd really know. But nonetheless, this was definitely carved out catastrophically because of how abruptly it begins. Things like rainfall, it's not going to create a massive abrupt canyon that begins all of a sudden. But catastrophic water current makes a cataract that begins, immediately. It's almost half-mile wide. And then you got the terraces from here to here. So yeah, clearly catastrophic water currents. And, ooh, this is a great spot here. Yeah, so now you guys know. And if any of you guys are in England, get some drone shots of this. I mean, that would be insane. These are just so fascinating. It's one of my favorite locations in the world. Because there's so many locations where you see terraces and you think, oh, maybe that's just differential erosion. How can I really prove that these are river terraces? Well, nothing more obvious than scours all along the terrace marks, perfectly in line with them in several sequences. I mean, that's just, how do you get anything better than that? And then my second favorite way to prove that a lot of terraces around the world are made from river terraces and not just differential erosion over long periods of time is by finding ruts that go along these terrace lines. So places like Russia and Greenland, they won't just have terraces, but they'll have rivers that traverse. In Canada too, they'll have rivers that just like run along here. And it's like, a river should go downhill, not across, not traversing, right? All right, that's it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And please like, subscribe, share, tell everyone you know. Have a great day. Goodbye.